Hello friends, it's good to be with you as always. You will notice I'm coming to you today not from our usual set for the podcast, but from our beautiful sanctuary. And that's because I want to talk to you today about, of all things, lighting, which may seem like a bit of an inside baseball kind of thing, but when we started these podcasts many months ago, Tim, our cameraman and sound guy, the person who is actually part of the impetus for these, has taught me a lot about how important and critical lighting is. And we have made a number of lighting changes in the sanctuary over the last decade and a half or so. I'm standing in here today with no artificial light, only our skylight. And we changed the lighting maybe 6-7 years ago from what used to be here canned lighting. Some of you were here when some of those cans actually caught on fire during a church service. And we realized both because of that and because the lighting wasn't so good that we needed to make some improvements. So we're going to do a change in 1 second. Kate, let's let Tim change the camera first. And again, I'm standing with you right now with no artificial lighting. And I want to show you the upgrade to lighting that we did a few years ago. Are you ready, Tim, for this? Okay, Kate, could you show us the first change? So this now has artificial lighting. It is way better than the canned lighting that we used to have. And again, I'm not an expert on lighting, but I've learned about this over the last few months. It tends, because of the way our sanctuary is structured, to be lighting that comes largely straight down. And particularly when you're taping things, that kind of lighting isn't ideal. And since we are doing only virtual services these days, we realized we really needed to allow the cameras that we have in the sanctuary to operate better by improving our lighting. And so just this last week, we were able to install some new lighting, which is brighter and very importantly comes at the speakers not from a high angle, but from a lower angle, which I hope when you see this, you will see how I'm not saying my face is the most beautiful face in the world, but there are lots of shadows on whoever's face is up here, and this new lighting takes some of those shadows away. So are you both ready for this third move now? Okay, so Kate, if you could turn on this newest lighting that just went on, hopefully you can see how that improves the shadows, it improves the clarity and the saturation and so forth. So I want to say a couple things about this. The first thing I want to say is I want to say a profound thank you to a few families who have helped make this possible. It will not surprise you that in our 60-plus years of history, all of our members have invested in the life of the church, and there have been all kinds of different investments in our physical plant, most recently this new lighting, and it was a one-time expense, and so I want to say thank you to the families who are helping to make it possible. If you would like to support this, we haven't paid for it all with those gifts, but we're getting there, certainly we would invite your contributions. That's the first thing. The second thing is a more sort of theological point. Light, of course, is an image that is used again and again in the Bible, maybe most famously in Matthew chapter 5, when Jesus is speaking to the crowds. This is in the Beatitudes, and he says, "You are the light of the world." And then he says this, "Let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." We say those same words at every baptism, and the point of that is that we, each of us as Christians, can reflect God's light back out into the world. The point isn't to draw attention to ourselves. The point is to make the world a brighter, better place. And I'm reminded here, I apologize, but C.S. Lewis always has something wonderful to say about these things. If you go to Westminster Abbey, in Poets' Corner, C.S. Lewis has a plaque there. He's not buried there. He's buried in a churchyard in England, but he has a plaque there, and it lifts up a beautiful phrase from one of his very famous sermons called "The Weight of Glory." And here's what it says. Again, this is in Poets' Corner in Westminster Hall, sort of sums up in some ways C.S. Lewis's thought. He says this, "I believe in Christianity as I believe that the sun has risen, not only because I see it, but because by it I see everything else." I pray that as Christians in this world, we may reflect God's light so that people may see the beautiful world that God has made and give all of us a sense of hope for a better future. Thanks as always for listening. Stay in touch, and God bless.